artist, how did making those shorts how did you hone your craft making those shorts, and how did that inform the making of Chaperone?
Yeah, great. Cashback was a short I made for like actually no money, like a zero, during the pandemic with friends and Alison in the Palace Theater, because the theater was closed, and we had been trying to make Chaperone. We didn't have any money. We were like, this would be the perfect time that, you know, we can, because we don't have any schedule conflictions because they're closed. But we couldn't.
Yeah, and that was the feedback that we got right in the process of going out to try to develop this feature. They were like, oh, well, what work has she done?
And my feature that I did and the shorts that I had done with my partner, who's still my partner, but we creatively uncoupled, they were, you know, very much a tonal split of our voices, and he's a lot more surreal and whimsical and playful, and I am a lot darker and just like more grounded, I think. And so, so our films like kind of felt like they had a tone that always didn't match, and it wasn't necessarily something that either one of us could point to for work samples, because it wasn't either one of us. It's pretty like classically financed with investors, and it took just a long time of making relationships and meeting people,
and it's a combination of things. So while it is investor led, we also pursued everything from, we had fiscal sponsorship, the Palace Theater, so we're able to take donations, and then we also, we applied for grants. We got one from Hawaii Women in Film. We needed an extra, but the thing that was sort of the launch pad was we found a local investor who had a group of other people who invest in other projects, who understood not necessarily the story. I mean, I'm sure he got it, but he was like, we need more movies in Hawaii. And that allowed us to get that first money in. And what we realized when we connected on is, like, as filmmakers, we're hiring crew, we're hiring catering, we're hiring equipment. You know, the money that you're giving us, we're putting directly back into our community, and that money is staying here. You know, and so when you tell an investor who's like, oh, well, I have these other businesses and I'm doing these other things, and
he's a very special investor.
He's
very community focused.
And so he got that, and it was really finding that right person really opened up a lot of doors for us.
Yeah, and I'll also say that something that we kept being frustrated with was that when we would get opportunities to pitch the film to folks with money, they were almost always men. And in the development process, this really changed once we had a finished film and everyone could watch Mitzi, because it doesn't matter your gender, they're able to identify with her, which is great. But on the page, that wasn't the case. So when we were sending this out for development labs, you know, for possible financiers, men just didn't get the film. They'd be like, I don't understand what's wrong with, like, what she thinks is wrong with her life. Like, I don't understand her. She doesn't have a character arc. Like, what? And just women they would just never have that feedback ever. But I couldn't find any women to pitch to. I couldn't find many female financiers. We did eventually get, you know, there were a few women in this man's like cohort that came in, and then we got one other woman who financed it. But at first, we spent just 3 years trying to pitch it.
We always contact our community members, and doc projects, reality television, narrative fiction, shorts, features. Since I've moved back, that's been a big part of what, as a producer, I almost insist on, even though it's a production.
That's really standard here now, I think, which is great. I don't know about, I mean, again, I've only been on our productions, but I hear about that a lot, which is just good.
So, and it's something that I think that we can insist on being here with these outside productions that come in. It's like, I'm getting called to production manage. And I'm like, that's great, you want to do that? We need a half hour to start the first day. And you're going to pay somebody, we're going to offer them a thank you, and this is how we do things here. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, that's how we do things here, you know? And it invites the community to come in and, like you said, to create a connection and create an opportunity to have a conversation about how can we be giving back and not be so extractive? And then that puts everybody in that mindset to be open to feedback when we go into communities to do filmmaking. And so I think it has a lot of layers to that. And so we try to incorporate as much as we can. So good question.
And what's the process?
Thank you for this very first question. So consistently with series co-producer Shirley Thompson, we have this meeting where we bring all the Wāhine in front of the camera that we can think of and start doing this. We really see this working well with this, but the intention is always to, give justice to all the Wāhine to do so much work in film, from cinematographer, director, editor, producer, so that we have a wide representation on the screen who's doing the work in Hawaii, who's telling the stories of Hawaii through film, so that we can bring all this brilliance in storytelling behind and in front of the screen. And then once we select with Shirley, like who's going to be in front of the screen, as I said, it's like, okay, let's see who's behind the screen, directing the piece, and making sure also that there is this intergenerational conversation that Anderson mentioned at the very beginning. So we bring on board graduates from our Hawaii Filmmaking programs here, some of them as well, but also from the film school, so that our community keeps growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and more Wāhine make films and tell their story. But the one thing that we consistently do is actually the hui. We bring together the hui so that we can have check-ins and share what's working, what needs to be addressed. Making a film, it's hard. And so we try to provide all the support that is needed to make them happen the way they do.
That it's not just that film, but it's like my whole, life. And Donna brought that together so wonderfully for me. Like, I saw everything kind of anew in this little 8-minute film. I saw all my colleagues who were profiled anew, and it just goes to show the talent that is here and all around, and how powerful storytelling is, that you can see your own story in a new way told by somebody else that moves you. Yeah, I think I know my own story, but then I see it through somebody else's eyes, and I see it so differently, and so much. I'm so appreciative of so many things that I take for granted after seeing that film. And all of you, it includes all of you, and includes Hawaii. Hawaii is like our commonality, and we have to tell more stories about Hawaii.
And you left the continent, and now you're back, and then you have.
Now I'm back.
Yes, and you have you have a film that you produced, Chaperone, that's also here at the festival. Can you talk about kind of like your outlook on coming back and working in the indie film scene?
It was always the dream, to be able to come back and create work here and work with really great folks telling stories that are about here. Because for so long, I graduated a while back from high school and all those things, but I remember feeling like there wasn't enough here for me. And I feel like that's a conversation I've had with a lot of other, local kids who grew up here, went to public school, and the opportunities just felt like they were everywhere else. But I feel what's really exciting in being a part of a community here, this amazing group of Wāhine here, is it's just, they are doing the work and we get to see it here. And so
we came together because we entered the 48-hour film festival. So there's like a line we have to use, some props that we have to use, like the shell. And so we came together. Oh, that she's wearing. See, product placement.
At Hawaii International Film Festival. I'm Ataraiti, Associate Producer of Only in Aotearoa and also CEO of Kura Productions. And this show is also, as well as broadcast, meant for online, meant for social media. Because those bite-sized sketches, they go on Instagram and then they go viral on Facebook and get shared and on TikTok as well, so that everyone can see how funny we are and we can enjoy each other. And I think the great thing about Only in Aotearoa Wāhine edition this year is that we had so much political stuff happening to Māori people in Aotearoa that when we saw things that we could laugh about and laughing at ourselves, it was a relief, small relief in real life situations that were happening. So it's incredibly important, but also having to deliver to a broadcaster and making it fit for their digital first platforms as well.
Makes sense, because I don't watch SNL on TV anymore. I just watch it on YouTube, right? So
to me, anything I make is going to be stamped with Hawaii. And when people told me, oh, you should probably cut some of the pigeon, and also it is very universal. I feel like I made it for women. It's made by women, for women, about women, but it's universal. I mean, everybody can relate to feeling like a giant loser and being embarrassed and feeling like you don't measure up, and then, you know, having heart-to-hearts with people and realizing they feel the same way. And they're like, oh, I feel like a loser too, but I'm not, and neither are you. So yeah, it's Hawaii, but it's also very universal.
All these amazing ladies. Thank you, Anderson.
Thank you very much. Let's give her a round of applause.